We spend so much time thinking about our tires when we're out on the road, right? But what about when we're not? It turns out how you store your tires is actually quietly one of the most important things for your safety. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see exactly why.
You might assume that, once your car is parked or those winter tires are tucked away for the season, they're perfectly safe. But what if I told you the most significant damage to a tire can happen when it's not even moving? And this, right here, tells the whole story. On the left, you see tires stored the right way. They're clean, they're organized, protected. But that picture on the right, oh boy, that's what happens when they're not. Those cracks aren't from thousands of miles on the highway. Nope. They're the silent result of just sitting there, neglected, in storage. And that kind of damage, that can lead to catastrophic failure on the road. Okay, so let's dive into these hidden dangers, because it's not really about the mileage your tires have. It's all about the conditions they have to put up with when they're just sitting still. Time and the environment, they are the invisible enemies here. And look, don't just take my word for it. The U.S. Tire Manufacturers Association puts it pretty bluntly. Poor storage can lead directly to tire failure. The stakes here are incredibly high, which is why getting this right is it's absolutely non-negotiable.
So, who are these invisible threats exactly? I mean, what are we really trying to protect our tires from when they're just sitting in the garage or a shed? Let's meet the culprits. This list is pretty fascinating because it's not just one thing. You've got sunlight. Those UV rays are basically like a slow-burning fire on rubber. Then there's ozone, which, believe it or not, is generated by stuff you might have right in your garage, like electric motors or welders. And it's incredibly corrosive to tires. Now, add in wild temperature swings, moisture, and any chemical exposure from solvents or gasoline, and you've basically got a recipe for disaster. Heck, even just stacking them the wrong way creates physical stress that can totally deform the tire. All right, enough with the problems, let's talk solutions. This is your protective playbook. The absolute must-do is for keeping your tires safe and sound while they're off the car. This chart lays it out perfectly. What you're aiming for is a clean, dry, cool, and dark place. You want to keep them away from those ozone-generating motors we just talked about, and this one is crucial. Get them off the concrete floor. Concrete holds moisture, so use a pallet or a rack to lift them up. So, if you're storing tires that are off the wheel, this is the way to do it. Stack them horizontally, sidewall to sidewall, in what's called a stovepipe stack. This method really helps the tires keep their shape, and it prevents distortion over time. Just be careful not to stack them too high, because the weight can end up crushing the tires at the bottom.
An even better way to go is a proper tire rack or a pallet. But take a look at the surface. See how it's flat and smooth? That's what you want. You really want to avoid any kind of graded surface because those can leave indentations on the tire over a long period, and that creates weak points. But what if you absolutely have to store them outside? Well, it's not ideal, but you can do it safely. The key is a special cover that is opaque to block those UV rays and waterproof to block moisture. But look closely at the vents. Those are essential. Without vents, you literally create a heat box or a steam bath under the cover that will cook your tires. No joke. Now, what about a car that's going into long-term storage? The absolute best-case scenario? Get it up on jack stands to take all the weight off the tires completely. If you can't do that, unload everything you can to make the car lighter and make sure the tires are inflated to the recommended pressure. But here is the most crucial part. You have to move the vehicle. Move it at least every 3 months to prevent flat spots and cracking. And if you've got high-performance tires, that window shrinks to just 30 days. Okay, we've covered all the do's, so let's flip it around and reinforce them by looking at the don'ts. These are the common, really easy-to-make mistakes that can seriously mess up your tires. When you're storing tires outside, seriously, never leave them touching black asphalt or any other surface that just soaks up a ton of heat. And on the flip side, highly reflective surfaces like bright sand or snow can bounce UV rays right back onto the tires, speeding up the damage. Basically, just leaving a tire out in the open, unprotected, is one of the worst things you can possibly do to it. Okay, so you've done it. You stored your tires perfectly. The season changes, and it's time to put them back on the car. Well, guess what? You're not done yet. Now comes what might just be the single most important step, the pre-service safety check. Before those tires ever go back into service, they need a really thorough inspection. And while you can do an initial check yourself, having a tire service professional give them a final look over, well, that's just the safest bet to spot any damage you might have missed. But you absolutely can and should do your own inspection first. It's a pretty simple 4-step process. First, just make sure they're clean and dry. Second, check the tread for any rocks or nails that got stuck in there. Third, and this is the big one, look very carefully for any signs of damage, and we're about to see exactly what that looks like. And finally, once they're mounted, inflate them to the pressure that's listed on your vehicle's door jamb placard.
This is exactly what you're looking for. On the left, that's cracking deep down inside the tread grooves. And on the right, you see that web of tiny cracks all over the surface? That's classic weather or ozone damage. Both of these are huge red flags. And here are two more signs of trouble. That veneer cracking on the left kind of looks like the sidewall is peeling or flaking. And the discoloration on the right, that's not just dirt, it can be a sign of chemical exposure. A tire that shows any of this damage is just not safe to use, period. One last critical piece of info is the tire's age. Find the DOT number on the sidewall. See those last 4 digits? They tell you exactly when it was made. So, for example, 3223 means it was manufactured in the 32nd week of 2023. Age itself is a factor, so remember that even a perfectly stored tire has a shelf life.
So what this all comes down to is pretty simple, actually. The main point of this whole explainer is this. Taking care of your tires when they're in storage isn't just about preserving your investment or being a meticulous car owner. It is a fundamental part of your vehicle's safety system. We rely on those 4 little patches of rubber to keep us safe every single time we drive. So the final question is a simple one, really. Your tires protect you on the road. Are you doing enough to protect them when they're off the road?